yesterday's price is not today's price.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with us. This is the Maverick Podcast. I am your host, DJ Maverick. Today, we have an all-star in the building. We have a human resource professional of the NBA, Paulina Panduro. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much. It is such a pleasure to be here.
It's awesome to have you. We were talking back and forth. I know you've got a ton of stuff going on, but maybe for the 1% of the people out there that don't know who you are, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yes. So like I mentioned, I am a human resources professional currently working in the NBA, specifically for the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Awesome.
This is my 5th season.
Okay.
We like to go by seasons, not really by years, but if we are focusing on the year, this is my 4th year.
Okay.
I've been with the Thunder in the benefit space, in the recruiting space, practically from day one. So
Wow.
It's been lots of fun. I am also part of our Inclusion and Diversity Council, and I co-chair our Hispanic Latinx Advisory Group.
Very cool. All right. So let's rewind it back. Walk me through, where did you grow up? Where did you go to high school? Tell me a little bit about that.
I am from California.
Oh,
so
really?
I'm from Cali.
Okay.
I'm from the 831, from
Awesome.
the Bay Area.
Reppin'. Okay. I like that.
I am from the Bay Area. I was born and raised there, and my high school, I actually completed all of that in Mexico.
No way.
So yeah,
How did that happen?
Family.
Okay.
So I moved to Michoacan. It's called Santa Clara de Valladares.
Okay.
And I practically completed I finished my high school essentially in Poteau, Oklahoma, my junior and senior year, but practically from middle school all the way to my sophomore year of high school, I did that in Mexico.
Wow.
So,
That's amazing.
yes.
Was that like by choice? Was that something that your family was just like, hey, we want you to learn Spanish. We want you to learn about our traditions. Like, what do you think maybe drove that decision?
Yeah, so I feel like in the Hispanic culture, we're just so deeply and rooted in our like family and traditions.
Definitely.
And like that bond that connects us. So whenever I remember being in Mexico and telling my mom, I don't like it here, no me gusta. And she's like, pues tienes dos trabajos, o te va a gustar o te va a gustar.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, like that's so tough. So it's really hard because throughout your whole life, you're like, okay, I'm Hispanic, I'm Mexican, I'm proud of it. And then you go to Mexico and you're too white.
Right.
But in reality, I'm not.
Right.
I'm super, super proud of where I come from and my roots. And so making friends over there was hard.
Yeah.
And then once I moved to Poteau, Oklahoma, that was even harder because in high school, those cliques and you don't really feel like you fit in. Now you're the odd person in the room. And that was hard. But I took that same mentality that my mom said of like, o te va a gustar, o te va a gustar. So I was involved in lots of sports. So I was in cross country, track, soccer, and I did dance.
Awesome. Okay. Very cool. What would you say maybe was the favorite or the highlight of like being in Mexico, going to school there? Like what was maybe the highlight of that?
So one, the food.
Yeah,
sure.
for
I'm
sure.
like, man, tacos in every corner, las tienditas, going to that. My mom asking me to like, go to la tortilleria, traer.
Fresh tortillas.
Yeah, fresh tortillas. There's nothing like that. Also, I was in Ballet Folklorico.
Okay.
That was another highlight just because I love to dance. And as geeky as this sounds, I was able to participate in like a math competition in Mexico.
Okay.
So anything that pertains like numbers or science, I'm all about it.
That's your jam?
Yeah, that's my jam.
All right. So if I would have asked you back then, hey, what do you want to do, once you graduate? Like it would have been something math related, science related, or like what was your dream?
If you were to ask me, I feel like I would be doing something in dance.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So according to my family, I'm like the comedian / dancer from the family.
Awesome. Okay.
And I don't even know, I don't think that I am, but I can literally be in the same room as them and I won't say anything and they'll start laughing or like, and I'll be the first one to take somebody out to dance too. Like it can be a space where you need to be serious and whatnot. If I hear the music, you best believe I'm going to dance.
Awesome.
Like,
Is there like some home footage of you like dancing and stuff as a kid or what?
Yeah, I actually choreographed my, I think I was in 5th grade. That was my first choreography.
Nice.
And it was to Thalia.
No way.
Yeah.
Okay. Which song?
It was Arrasando.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
I
like
still
that.
remember. My parents have footage on that. And
For a talent show or something or what?
It was like a festival in the elementary school.
Okay.
And I don't know how that even happened.
Awesome.
But my family has footage and I'm like, oh my gosh, que vergüenza.
Yeah.
But I was proud of it. I still remember.
That's awesome. So growing up Bay Area, I'm sure lots of hip hop probably, right? So did you do any hip hop dancing or anything like that?
I didn't. I did more ballet folklorico.
Okay.
That was kind of like our after school program / activities that I would do. And then I did modeling.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Walk me through that. How did that come about?
Man, I was just this little diva who thought she had all the sass and she had this inner Beyonce in her.
Awesome. I like
as
it.
a little girl. And now it's like, que vergüenza.
No, that's awesome. I mean, to be that confident when you're growing up and stuff, like it's usually the opposite, right? Because you're going through all these changes and stuff, and kids can be like super like, bullies and stuff. So that's cool that you were confident enough to do that. That's cool.
Yeah. I will say though, when I lived in California, people thought that I was Filipino.
Oh, really?
So I would get bullied sometimes because of the shape of my eyes.
Okay.
And they would say, like, her eyes this, her eyes that. And
yeah, kids can be a little rough. They can be bullies at times,
for sure. Yeah, till this day.
Yeah,
as an adult.
You were like, hey, I'm not going to listen to all these haters. I'm going to be a model, or what? What happened with all the beauty stuff?
So no, that it just started as modeling classes.
Okay.
And then we ended up moving to Mexico, and then that died.
Yeah.
And then it was just people making comments like, you could be a model, like you're tall or you're like slim. And I'm like, that's just really how my genes are.
Yeah.
I'm just flaca, but I didn't think anything of it. And then my freshman year of college, they somewhat asked like, hey, would you like to participate in a pageant?
Yeah.
And I mentioned it to my family, and that was, I feel like, my first step into like the beauty / model world.
Okay.
And this was 2011.
Okay.
So
and you went to Oklahoma State, right?
Yes. So I actually did 2 years of community college.
Okay.
At Carl Albert State College.
Okay.
Which is in Poteau, which is where I moved.
Got it.
So I ended up winning a second runner-up, which is third place. And if I would have won, I would have went to, I believe it was Miss America.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Very
cool. So that was my first pageant. Not a lot of people know about that one, but that's kind of like how everything got started in the pageant world.
Very cool. And then you kind of just fell in love with it. And then I'm sure you were killing it when it came to like the talent portion of it, right?
Yeah.
What would you do for talent? Did you do dance or what?
I did. I danced the samba.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
man, you're taking me off folkloric, samba, everywhere but like hip hop. I'm not expecting this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, my dance choreographer from high school, she did say, I thought you were going to dance some hip hop.
Yeah.
Why didn't you do that?
Yeah. It's like, come on, Bay Area.
Yeah. And I'm like, I should have done hip hop. And in my head, because we have all of these misconceptions of pageants where everything's like beauty and you have to look a certain way. I thought samba gave you more of that like flavor and that sauce and like so I thought maybe this is going to make me stand out versus hip hop. But if I were to go back, I would have done hip hop. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. What was your so you said Poteau, right?
Yes, Poteau, Oklahoma.
What was that experience like? Because I've never been. I don't know like what's around there. Like what was that like? Was it like complete, I bet, culture shock, right, to be there or what?
Yeah, I'm like hella super culture shock. Because so in Poteau, the biggest store is Walmart.
Okay. Do they have the blue Walmart or the brown Walmart? Because there's like the small ones are like the brown ones or whatever, right?
It used to be brown.
Okay.
We got updated.
You got updated?
Yeah.
That's
it
awesome.
got remodeled to the blue.
Okay.
So yeah, that's the biggest store. I think in my graduating class we had 3 Hispanic.
No way.
3 or 2.
Jeez.
That was hard.
I bet.
There's only one main street.
Just one traffic light. Yeah.
There's maybe like, I would say maybe 4 or 5.
Okay. You can still count them on one hand though.
But one main street.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. What would you do for fun? Was there like a movie theater at least or something or what?
I worked at a Mexican restaurant.
Oh,
so
yeah?
I used to be a waitress while I was in high school.
Was it like a traditional Mexican or was it like a Tex-Mex? Like
I would say a little bit of both.
Both?
Yeah.
Okay.
So for fun, I would play soccer and I would do dance and spend time with my family. But like in my free time or if I wanted some extra money, then I would work as a waitress.
Got it. Okay. Why do you think of Poteau? Did you have family there or something? Or is this a job opportunity or what?
All of my dad's family is in Poteau.
Okay.
So so we moved to Mexico and then to take care of my grandpa. Once he had passed away, then the economy was really bad in California.
Yeah.
So all of my dad's family was like, hey, you should move over here. We'll help you out. Somewhat that support system for my dad. And then my dad's like, well, let's give it a try. Yeah. We got there and we were like, está bien feo.
Oh, no. You're like, what are we doing? Yeah.
Yeah, we were like, está bien feo aquí.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, because I feel like no matter where you live, as long as you have your family with you, then that's all that matters. So that's kind of like what helped us throughout everything till this day.
Were you able to at least build some friendships there or along the way at least to not make it so bad or what?
Yes. So I don't know if it's like, I think my parents, the way I am with people and the way I am, one in California and in Mexico, because I was treated a certain way. Yeah. I knew that moving forward with my life, I didn't want to treat people the way they treated me. Okay. So in Poteau, I practically knew everyone. So I started as like shy and like, no me gusta aquí. But then I ended up like everybody knew who I was. And it wasn't because it was like on purpose, but it was more because of how I am with people. Like I'm not going to judge you if I don't know you. I want to know you.
Like you don't have a stranger. Like everybody's a friend to you. Like
like first I get a sense of who you are, and then if you're timid or if you're loud or if I'll meet you halfway.
Okay, cool. Yeah. And then growing up in both Mexico and the U.S., were you just bilingual the entire time, just growing up, or did you learn one language first and then the other?
So when I was in California, in elementary school, I was in bilingual school. Okay. And kindergarten and first grade, it was all in Spanish. And in second grade, that's when I started to get introduced to the English language. And then I ended up moving to Mexico. So second through sixth grade, it was all bilingual. And then I moved to Mexico and it's all in Spanish.
Wow. Okay.
And then I moved to Poteau and it's all in English. So, I mean, till this day, I always say that I think in Spanish and it comes out in English. Yeah. Like, it's crazy as that sounds. I am literally translating everything in my head.
Like on the fly.
Yeah. So
that's awesome.
I feel like I have a little operator, like literally repeating everything.
Do you dream in Spanish or English?
Spanish.
Spanish?
For sure.
Okay. Yeah. And when you get mad, Spanish.
I think English.
English?
Yeah.
Okay. For me, it's Spanish when I get mad. I don't know why.
Yeah. Like, I feel like now because of like the people that I am around, they speak or they say a lot more like bad words or things in Spanish that I am like slowly picking up those words, but normally like in English.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. So walk me through your college experience. Like you decided to go into nutrition, if I'm understanding correctly, right? Yeah. Why nutrition? I'm not like, we're dancing, we're into math.
Right.
We're like, where did the nutrition come apart? Like, where's that?
So I will say I am a first generation student. So when I moved to Poteau, Oklahoma, I'm never going to forget that the students or my classmates were like, oh, what did you get on the ACT? What did you get? And in my head, I'm like, ¿qué es eso?
Yeah, I've never heard of it.
I've never heard of that.
Okay.
So, and I'm like, what is that? Like, what are you guys talking about? And then they're like, that is actually the test that you take to see and
to qualify to see where you
get
want to go.
scholarships, where you want to go. And I'm like, oh, I haven't taken that test. What do I need to do? The deadline just passed.
Oh, geez.
And that was kind of like my first initial like, oh snap, I'm growing up.
Yeah.
I need to figure this out.
For sure.
What am I going to do? So I ended up looking at different universities and different things. And just like any other student, I feel like we just practically know if you're a first generation student, you practically just know a cop, a doctor, a teacher, or just your basics in the career field. So I know when I went to my community college, I wanted to be a pediatrician.
Okay.
So that's where like the science came in there. And I was always told that if I wanted to be a pediatrician, I needed to take biology classes.
Yeah.
Well, I spoke to the experts and I'm like, well, then I guess we'll stick to biology.
Let's do that, right?
They're the ones that are. So then once I transferred to OSU, I hated science.
Really?
It was so tough.
What did you hate about it? Just like it wasn't really clicking, or you just didn't enjoy the material, or what was going on?
I didn't enjoy the material.
I didn't
enjoy it. But as an elective, I took nutrition.
Okay.
And that was my first initial introduction to nutrition. Yeah. And I loved it.
Awesome.
And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is something that I can see myself doing like in my future. So I actually worked at the hospital in Stillwater. Okay. As a part-time while going to school, and then working full-time after I graduated. And then I tend to say, así pasan las cosas, in which the HR team was looking to implement different practically like strategies for all of the different clinics. Yeah. So there's clinics for your physicians clinics, your DOs, your MDs, your family practice, so all of that. And they're like, Paulina, would you like to join us? And again, I think it's because of my connection with people and the way I am with people. So working in nutrition, I had to work with the external people coming in. And then, so meaning like the patients, the visitors, and the internal people coming in, which is the nurses and your doctors. So I think that really made me stand out when it came to speaking to people for some reason.
And plus you're bilingual, right? So they were like, this is a perfect candidate.
Yes.
Building relationships and bilingual, score, right?
Yes. Yeah. And I will say, whenever they do need bilingual, like someone that could speak in Spanish, till this day, even with the Thunder, I'm your go-to.
You're the go-to?
I'm your go-to. Awesome. Yeah, for sure. So, so then I started working with our HR team. And I'm like, oh, I thought HR was just like anybody else, hiring or firing. Right. But there's just so much that goes in HR. Definitely. From that aspect, which can be tough, to the fun stuff, to like the broad stuff. And I'm like, man, I like this. You fell in love with it or what? Yeah. Okay. So that was kind of like my first full-time job, nutrition. Yeah. But then I switched to the HR space.
What would have been the career path if you would have gone traditional nutrition? Like, I don't know, what are some of the career options there?
Yeah, I would say dietitian. Okay. That is one in which you can literally work anywhere. Although with that one, you do have to practically take a test, I believe, every 2 years to get your license. Okay. But that is one that I wanted to do. And of course, the hospital, in which something that I did there was work with patients' diets. If you're diabetic, if your cholesterol's high, just providing them with different options on what they could eat. Okay. So there's just so many different things.
Yeah, definitely. Well, it sounds like you sort of had like a little bit of everything. You explored a lot of options, right? Yeah. So you think you found your true passion now, what you're doing currently, or what?
I think so.
Yeah. Yeah. What's like the best part, you think, of what you're currently doing?
And I don't know if it has to do with like who I work with now or just in general HR, but I like the fact right now that, and I mentioned it, we brought a couple of emerging HR professionals to our offices today. Yeah. And I mentioned like one thing that I like, this is like completely outside of HR, is that you can be authentically yourself when you come in the office. Sure. So at times you can be at offices where everybody's just like in the zone working and like they look the same and like it just seems so like plain and like the same of everything. But with the Thunder, coming in, knowing that I can be myself, that really like energizes me of wanting to like be there for the employee, which is who I'm there for.
That's cool. So the culture is like super relaxed. Like everybody's kind of like their own individual. Like because usually other corporations, HR, like you have to like be like sort of like, I don't want to say the law, but you are kind of governing the business and like the rules and what you can and what's appropriate, what's not appropriate, right? So what is it like? What's the culture like?
I will say though, till this day, if we're walking by and if it's the whole gang, then they think that somebody's in trouble. They're like, I'm in HR.
Straighten up.
I'm in HR. Cállense o guarden silencio or something. But I feel even like myself, like I said, even though I'm in HR, at first I will say it was hard for me to like really know how to be my true authentic self, because I thought that in HR you had to like always smile and always be bubbly. And so taking or having my own mentors that are in the HR space really like allowed me to realize that you can be yourself, and HR is not just stereotypical of what people think. Yeah. So in the space that I am right now and what I do, I like the fact that I get to communicate with our employees all the benefits that we have. I like that I get to recruit new staff and talk to like students and newer folks. I also like that I get to work with the players. I work a lot with the G League players and with their benefits and their onboarding. Okay. So I'm like, and I also like that I get to do IND stuff, which is inclusion and diversity. So.
That's cool. And then you probably get to build relationships in the community and like go to different events and sort of like, you know, build connections, network there, right?
Yes. So like I said, I am not from OKC. So this is going to be year 5 in OKC. Okay. And a lot of my friends from Stillwater, they're like, Pau, tú conoces a más gente que yo. Like, ¿cómo le haces? And honestly, it's that intentionality of like, I didn't have certain opportunities. And because I didn't have them, I want to be able to provide them for other people. So when it comes to mentoring or just supporting the community, or there's a small business, let's give them a shout out. Or so I know when I first came to the Thunder, it was a lot of networking, and that is something I'm not comfortable doing.
What?
Yes.
Everything I've heard up to this point, it sounds like you're a total people person and you're totally comfortable with meeting new people.
Yes, but I would say that because it's like older folks. Okay. So in my head, and I don't know if it's a part of like my culture or the traditional aspect, I always see like my older folks of like, yes, sir, no, ma'am. Okay. You know, like,
so you have to be like super professional, super like courteous.
Yeah, like lo que usted diga, you know, like it's just this like sense of respect that I need to give my elderly. So when they would say a bad word or like, I'm like, oh my gosh, like I don't know like how to react to this. But I always tell even who I mentor, I'm like, you need to get uncomfortable to get comfortable. And that's where I am right now. And now I feel like when I'm in a new space or if I don't know people, even though I was already like that, now I am comfortable with my older folks because I'm like, oh, okay, it's the same thing. Right. It's literally the same thing.
Would you consider yourself an introvert, extrovert? Like, what would you consider yourself? Just, you know, natural. Like, what would you say you are?
I think I'm in the middle.
Middle?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
I'm like shy, and then once I get to know you, then I'm more outgoing. Okay. But I will never come out as outgoing versus shy. So I'm a little bit in between.
Okay, cool. So what I'm hearing is like you're able to adapt quickly. And it sounds like, you know, going to Mexico, going to US, going to like, you know, Poteau, like small like places, you're able to just adapt quickly is what it sounds like, right?
Yes. And even like with the Thunder, some of our folks that have worked there for so long, they're like, hey, Pau, so I go by Pau at work.
Cool. And how'd you get him to say that? It's probably like so difficult, like Pau. That's not like something like a common, right?
So at one point, a few employees wanted to call me Paula.
Paula.
And I'm like, man, like
that's not it.
That's not it. So my thing, I would say, my name, you can call me Pau. They're like, what? And I'm like Pau Gasol.
Yeah.
because I'm in that basketball space.
And they're like, oh, got
okay.
it.
Okay, like Pau. And I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, just like Pau Gasol.
Yeah.
And then that stayed.
Awesome.
And then if they didn't know who Pau Gasol was, I was like, P-O-W, like Pau.
Like a pal. Okay.
And they're like, okay.
Cool.
So that's something else that I like about where I work, in which they respect literally my preferred name, which is Pau.
That's awesome.
So, yeah.
Cool. So what would you say maybe to the viewers out there that maybe are a little bit more introvert and they're trying to get outside their comfort zone to like network, to like build some of those relationships? What's some advice that you would give them?
Yes. So I would say if you are in a space in which you have to network, look at it as if you were talking to your friends.
Okay.
That's one. Two, if you are new to like the networking space, try to come up with a few questions that could literally break the ice.
Got it. What are some of like your go-to? Give me like some examples here where we're just maybe at a networking event and like we meet each other. Like what are some of those?
I will just say at times what I say is like, have we met before?
Got
and
it.
they're like, no. What's your name? Boom. The
Yeah.
combo starts.
Okay.
The conversation starts.
Cool.
Or like, I like what you're wearing, or are you having a good time? Or the food was delicious. The food was bomb.
Yeah.
And then that just starts the conversation there.
Got it. What I've sort of heard and read as a hack is always to get the person to speak about themselves, because most people get happy and they get excited and they want to share like, you know, their hobbies or what they do for work, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So that's what I've always heard.
Yes, that's a good point. And that's why I mentioned like the clothing, because if you're like, oh, what does CBGB stand for?
Right.
And then you
just start a conversation there.
So I always say like the clothing is a good one.
Got it. Are you like having to like buff on your like sports sort of like stats and players and like, because they're probably expecting you to know everything, right?
Yes. And I always say, man, I don't recruit the players that are on the court, but I do recruit the people that are behind the scenes.
Yeah. So you don't have like ESPN running 24/7 to get all the stats? No?
Yeah. So I'm like, no, esa no soy yo.
Yeah.
That's not me. That's a different department. But I do get happy when people, when I mention the Thunder, it's like, oh, I love X player, or I love X player. And it's like, oh, okay, you actually watch a little bit of basketball, which is good.
Yeah.
Or you did this thing in the community, or it's like, oh, okay, that's awesome.
That's awesome. What would you say maybe was the biggest challenge of having to move and like all these culture shocks and having to adapt to different like environments? Like what was maybe some of the challenge that you had to like overcome?
I will say, I feel like now that I am older, coming in high school, college, it was really hard for me to make newer friends, like people that I would call friends. Yeah. I know a lot of people, but friends.
Like friends.
Yeah, friends.
Yeah. It's so difficult. Yeah, it's difficult once you're older, because I feel like when you're a kid, it's like, hey, I like this cartoon or I like this sports team. It's like, we're best friends. Like that's all you need to build that connection. Yes. But once we get older, it's so hard to like build those connections, right?
So I will say that when I had moved to OKC, I would go to like different like dance classes, Zumba classes, just different like activities that I would see out there, weightlifting or anything like that.
No way.
Cross training.
Okay.
And they would say like, hey, vamos a salir. Like you should totally come. And I know, I'm like, okay, yeah, why not?
Yeah.
Because like, that's just how I am. I'm not going to judge you. You know, I want to get to know you. And I remember the first time they invited me out, they were like drinking and like dancing.
You're like, what did I sign up for?
And I'm like, ¿en qué me metí?
Yeah.
¿Cómo me voy? So, I mean, and a few other folks that I still talk to till this day, that's the setup or the setting that they like, you know, like staying late at night and whatnot. And a few folks do tell me like, ¿cómo los conociste?
Right.
And it's like, man, I think that's why I am who I am again, because I'm not going to judge you. And if you like certain things and if I don't like them, I'll meet you halfway. Yeah. Like if you're staying out late at night, I'm going to go to sleep by 11 or 10. You still can, you know, I'll be there until 10. Ahí nos vamos, nos vemos, ustedes quédense. And then that's why I'm like, oh, okay, we're good.
So would you say that's another hack of yours to like maybe build relationships, is to never turn down an invitation and just go try something, even if you're not comfortable?
Yes. So in the panel that we had today, it was advice for mentee. for mentees or just people trying to like develop or their professional development, career development. And I said, show up. I was like, no matter if you don't want to go, no
Just
matter
do
if
it.
you want to stay home, if, you know, que quieres salir a bailar o que quieres jugar fútbol, or you know what, show up. If you're there, if the event is an hour, if you're there for 30 minutes, you never know who you can meet. And then that person might open a door.
Definitely.
And get your foot in the door in a space that you never thought that could happen. So I know I had invited a friend to an event, and she did not want to go with me. And I was like, please come with me. Like, no quiero ir sola. Please come with me. And she ended up making some connections. It happened to be that it was a few of her coworkers that worked in a different department.
Okay, that's cool.
So then that then I think those two coworkers told her VP. Then her VP found out that she was there, and then like it looped her into like this thing, and she's like, "Oh my gosh, like my VP's talking about me."
Wow,
like,
that's awesome.
I'm like,
you just never know, right?
And I'm like, dude, que te dije, you should have went with me. So at times, like showing up, you never know who you can meet.
Right, that's like the major thing. Just show up, right, to everything.
Sure.
Yeah, cool. I'm gonna put you on the spot. Usually, guests, I ask them, tell me something about you that most people don't know about you. So I'm gonna put you on the spot.
Yeah, so I know I had mentioned a little bit about dancing, different genres or different things that I do there. So something that people don't know about me is that when I had graduated high school, I wanted to be a hip hop choreographer.
Really?
Yeah.
For like musicians, for tours, like what are we talking about?
For a musician.
Musician? Yeah.
For sure.
Awesome.
I mean, even till this day, I like watch a lot of dancing videos on YouTube. I feel like ya nadie utiliza YouTube, but I'm still your YouTube girl. Everybody's like about TikTok, but I love watching like choreos and like anything like that.
Awesome. What's like your sort of GOAT choreography? Like, are we talking like old school Janet Jackson? Are we talking about Justin Timberlake? Like who?
We're talking about like Michael Jackson and a little bit of hyphy flavor, which is your E40.
Okay, very cool. That's that Bay Area.
That's that Bay Area.
Yeah, cool. Awesome. We are getting the signal here that we're running out of time, but maybe for the people out there that are interested, I don't know if you have any public social media that where they can find you, maybe find out about some of the cool events that are going on around the city and stuff. So go ahead and plug in your socials.
Yes. So if you are wanting anything from like opportunities, how you get involved with the Thunder, if you're looking for a job opportunity, an internship, you can send me an email to Panduro at okcthunder.com. If you're really wanting to network to see all of different aspects within my career, I also have my LinkedIn.
Awesome.
Same, Paulina Panduro. And with Instagram, same thing, Paulina_Panduro.
Okay. Awesome. Well, that's very cool. We're running out of time. I know that we have so much we could talk about. We'll definitely have to invite you back. You were stuck at work. So we had to like rush through this. But next time, when you have maybe some cool events or anything that you want to plug in, always welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.
Awesome.
I had such a blast. It went by so fast.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Always does. Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. The super talented Paulina Panduro on the Maverick podcast. Keep grinding because in dreams, we trust.